Good morning, everyone. This is Miss T. I hope everyone is well, doing well. You woke up this morning. A lot of people did not wake up this morning. And if you did, you should be thanking the Lord for giving you another day to change whatever it is that you need to change, to make amends, to ask for forgiveness, to forgive anyone, and just try to be a positive person in the world and not contribute to all the hate and the evil that's going on. Today, I wanted to talk about, I'm just going to say different things because I always end up adding other stuff in what I wanted to talk about. But I did an upload when I first started doing uploads, giving information on how to keep our children safe from predators. Um, I was going to do it again, but you can just go back and upload, watch the upload. But what I did want to do is just tell everyone what the top 10 states are for child abduction. If you live in these states, um, you should take extra precaution. We shouldn't be keeping we should be keeping an eye on our kids at all times, but there are some circumstances when they're, at school or whatever. So the first state that has the most abductions is Texas. Um, the next, Florida, California, Tennessee, Georgia, Colorado, Alaska, Utah, North Dakota, and Arkansas. So if you live in those states, I would I would be a little extra cautious. There's reasons why those states are chosen. Some of them you can imagine, but just something to keep you aware of, alert, and keep your mind clear that we need to protect the children. So when the Bible says be in the world, not of the world, it's telling us you have no choice but to live here. You're here. This is your temporary home. But you don't have to partake of any of the things that are going on that you know that is wrong or that God tells us not to indulge in. So in order to do that, you would have to find like-minded people. You would have to continuously pray, continuously study in the Word, remove yourself from temptations, um, make a conscious effort not to watch certain things or listen to certain things or be around certain people. And for some people, that sounds like it could be hard. It could be a, something tough that they just don't think they could do, because everywhere you turn, there's something that could possibly draw you in or get your attention or have you do, just fall, like, because we're all sinners and fall. But all you can do is pick yourself back up, ask God for the strength, for the forgiveness, and try not to do those things again. And when I say try, is because if you're a sinner, you can't get away from it. You can't, it's all around. Temptation is all around. And the only way that you can have a chance of defeating it is through Jesus Christ, through God, our Savior. So He knows. He knows your heart. So that's the important part. People don't know your heart. They only see what you either allow them to see, or you um, are just a genuine person and it just shows on the outside, or you're an evil person and it shows on the outside. So you really don't know what's in people's hearts. So you can see a person that's you think is so kind-hearted, and they're always willing to help, and they're always doing good and kind things. But you don't know what really goes on in their heart. Only God knows that. So we really shouldn't. The only reason why we should be concerned with that is that we could be fooled into believing a person is one way and they're really not. But I will tell you that an evil person will show, any type of person will show their true colors eventually. Um, when it's in this day and age, everything is not what it used to be. You can't trust anyone, and I'm sorry to say that, but you can't take a chance. You can't just say, oh well, I'll give them um, a pass until they do something. It used to be your, well, for some people, you're innocent until proven guilty, and right now it's probably should be you're guilty until proven innocent, because you just don't know what lurks, what's behind the door, what a person is thinking in their mind, um, what their intentions are. So you have to be on guard all the time, and that sounds like that's a lot to have some, to go through. I understand, like, social media is has some bad qualities and some good qualities, but I understand some people use social media is because they don't trust the real outside of the real world outside. You can come on social media and meet people that you feel are nice. They're nice to you while you're on here, but you don't have to really interact with them in your life. So it's safe. You're safe in a little, ball, because you can talk to these people. You can even have conversations outside. Feel like they're genuine, and you develop a friendship of whatever sorts, and without really having to have that all those questions or all those concerns lingering around. It's when you decide if you want to meet this person and meet them in person, or something like that, is when we get to um, making decisions possibly that could change your life, or whatever. So I think that is possibly a good thing. People can have friendships and have nice, people to talk to, and so they're not just alone all the time with their thoughts. Some people just sometimes can't sit and deal with what's in their mind all the time, or what they're thinking all the time by themselves. When you're lonely and you have all these thoughts, there's opportunity for things to come to you, and the devil doesn't is the one that's helping that. He's putting things in your head, especially by what you watch and listen to or read or whatever. He's putting things in your head, trying to get you to be confused. He's trying to get you to turn inward and become home alone, so that other people can influence you, good people can influence you. So yeah, so social media has its bad qualities and it has its good qualities. uh you just have to be adult enough. You have to be very particular in what you choose to watch, what you choose to get involved in, who you choose to uh, be social media friends with, or whatever. But when you're maneuvering the world by yourself, um, people, it could be lonely, and it can be scary, because at the end of the day, if you don't have anyone that you can talk to and release all the things that you took in for that day, it just keeps building up. So if you're watching every single day something that is traumatic or something drastic that happened, and it's really affecting your brain, you might sit there and watch and think, oh, that's horrible, and but it's really affecting your brain. It's either desensitizing you because you see it over and over again, so it's not a surprise, um, or it gets you wondering what makes a person do some of the things they do. And there's some things that we just don't have to, it's not necessary to know. What is important to know is the steps to Christ, how to make your eternal salvation. All the rest of that stuff, it's not important. You're going to stand alone. We're not going in as groups. We're not going in as family. We're going to be standing alone. So something someone else does, as far as you trying to understand why, or trying to whatever get into that person's head, it's not necessary. They have a God to answer to, just like you do. You can't help if God is the only one who can help. You're not going to be able to do anything but either take in what their thoughts are, or they're going to, depending on what type of person you are, they could possibly influence you in some kind of way. Perfect example. There's a story about the Hillside Stranglers, and when it first started, people, of course, it wasn't news that there were serial unalivers in the world, but they soon found out that it was two of them. And you would think, how do two people meet or come together and have the same thoughts, have the same evil thoughts in their head, want to do even, and I think they were cousins, and I'm not going to say it was genetic. I don't know, because of sin, everything's messed up. I really don't know. But for them two people to come together with their plan and what they did, you would either have to think maybe one influenced the other, or because you don't just wake up one morning and tell your cousin, I want you to take a ride with me and do these. There has to be a conversation. There has to be a talk. So evil shows its face in every corner, every aspect, every part of the world. You can't escape it. You can say, I'm going to move to so and so state. You're going to find it there. It might not be, in different states, it's more, you see it more often in certain states, but you're still going to see it. It's not, there's nowhere you can go to get away from it. It's getting worse and worse. People really don't know the effects or the aftermath, or the feeling of having something tragic happen to yourself or someone in your family, till it comes around and hits you. And you have to always be mindful that you're not able to handle devastation and all of this stuff on your own. if we could, there wouldn't be coping measures for people to go to, like alcohol, drugs, sex, food, whatever, shopping, uh, gossiping can be an addiction. Um, if we had our own way, if we knew how to cope with these things, which we don't. And I will say it over and over again, the only way that you can fight or overcome or even have a chance is through God. Put on the armor of God every morning, every day. There's, there's, he shouldn't be an afterthought. We usually, people sometimes go to God when bad things happen in their life, or, and they want help. And he's willing to help. But you wouldn't have to keep doing that if you were already in with him, if you were one with him, if he was a part of your daily life. You wouldn't have to go through. Not saying that you're not going to have problems, because that's I would be telling a lie. You are going to have problems, but he gives you a way to deal with those, cope with those, or find an answer, or he gets you an answer quicker than when you're trying to do it yourself. Because most of the time when we try to come up with something, we make it worse. But when you fully decide that you're going to let him guide you and control what goes on in your life, it just makes it easier for you to not succumb to this, all the evil in the world that we see today. So a lot of people, so what I try not to watch the news or watch different things, but I do. I can't help it. I pray and ask him to take it away from me. I am a what is it, criminal buff. I've always wanted to take down people who were doing wrong or doing crime or doing whatever. And that's something that has always been since a child. I can't even remember when I didn't. But as a child, I was fascinated with being, taking out bad people in the world or whatever. So some people study so that they can have an answer. They think they have an answer to why people do what they do or how they act the way they act. And I don't think that you can put a formula together to determine who's going to do what or turn out to, they'll give you, they'll say, there's some things that they can study to find out that some serial unalivers have in common. Wetting the bed, having a overbearing parent, or being abused. Some torturing and unaliving animals and things like that. But you really don't know what makes a person get up in the morning. You can be the best citizen that you have been for all your life, and then wake up the next day and decide that you want to shoot up Walmart. And you sat in, when you sit, also, this is what I'm talking about, social media, the bad part of it. When you sit and just watch and read and get motivated by different people who are talking or whatever, that gives you, when you start to believe that, you think you get a false sense of you're doing something important. If people are telling you that we need to clean the race and this is that and that and this, and you follow these people for long, for so long, and they're reaching out to you, they're talking to you. You think they're talking to you personally, and you feel like you have a duty to do. That gets in your head. And so in your mind, what you're thinking you're doing is not wrong. You're helping the cause. You've been told all your life that these people are evil, and the reason why the world is the way it is because of these people. We need to get rid of them. You need to. And so what your brain is telling you, even though you know it's wrong, you're thinking it's a cause. You're doing something for the good, because the more people we can get, that's what you're brainwashed to believe. um, and evil and the devil allow all of your common sense to go out the window. Because, like I said, if people take one before they react, if they take a minute to think, maybe the outcome would be different. You just, we act on emotions, and we act on the desensitizing of, like life is like not even important, or it's not special. People don't hold it in high regards. Like before, it was horrible. You take a life, that was something that was not, definitely was not something good. It was shunned. You were punished severely for it. But now, what I don't understand is how the laws that we don't make and never have made can tell us that you can unalive 30 people but get life in prison, and you can have less than an ounce of marijuana and get life, and you didn't harm anyone at all, really. It couldn't harm anyone because there's places where it's legal. That doesn't, you can't put laws on the book that says one thing and then you get to say it a different way somewhere else. How is that equal rights, and how is that, it doesn't make any sense. But we allow, we don't get involved enough to understand how we're being bamboozled and brainwashed and told everything, and then they throw something at you, and then they put something else in the mix to make you forget what you were thinking about. This media is the tool that, like, when everyone knows that when a Caucasian woman goes missing, or a child, it's plastered all over the TV. But women of color do not get TV time, do not get the same amount of concern. That has been going on for years. It hasn't changed, and it won't ever change. And that's why I say social media has its good qualities and its bad, because there are, people on social media that will get that information out. And so, and I truly believe there's some cases that would not have had the attention of the world had it not gotten a spot or was talked about on social media. And so, so you can, that's where I am with social media. Good, you can take the good and leave the bad. But I forgot where I was at. But the way things are, the way things are, of course, we know, are not fair, and the laws that are on the books are just ridiculous, and some of them don't even make sense. And I don't know if this is because they were made in an error for that purpose, or that time of the error was going on or something, and they were never changed or upgraded or revisited or anything, and so they just sit, and then they just really don't make sense. um but this is the world, and we should be happy that this is not our permanent, that we're living temporarily here in this evil place, and we can look forward to something better um, coming soon. And so while we're here temporarily, so what happens? What do you do when you're somewhere that's really not your home? So if you get an Airbnb, you go in there, it's not your house. So you don't tear it up. You don't um, let the kids write on the walls. You don't. So you don't really take do the things you would do if it was yours. Not saying that people just, I'm just saying wear and tear. You can't, because you're going to get charged for some stuff if you tear up somebody else's home. Um, but since it's temporary, we need to understand what that means. That means we don't have to spruce up this home. And when I'm saying this home, I'm not talking about the home that you're living in. I'm talking about this world. We don't have to hang beautiful, expensive pictures on the wall, if you know what I mean. We don't have to make it look good when it's not. You can pretty up, you can cover up ugly with pretty. You can make things look good, but they're still underneath, they're still ugly. And you can't change that. You can't take ugly and transform it just by making it, you know, look appealing, changing this about it, or doing this to it, and thinking that's going to change the ugliness. No, you just have a nice looking ugly piece of whatever it is. And since we have different types of people living in the world, some fall, you know, into different things that others wouldn't. Um, and that's why people and evil people and the devil prey on the weak. When you're down and out, or you're on the street, or you're just lost your job, and someone comes to you and says, I can get you a bunch of money, but you have to do something illegal, you normally wouldn't do that in your life, because you've always been a type of person who was honest and did an honest day's work. But you're vulnerable. You're in a situation that you feel like you can't get out of, and you're desperate, and you don't see any other choice. But if you have God in your life, you know what He has done for you in the past. You know every time that you've gotten into some situation that He has gotten you out of. And so you don't have to have those, you don't have to make those decisions. But when you don't know Him, or you don't serve Him, that's when, you know, things can come into you're desperate. You're grasping at whatever straws. You're grasping at something to hold on to. And with everything that's going on, we just, you know, people that are in the world that are just trying to live and try to do right, they might not be, you know, going to church every week or studying their Bible. They just want to live right. They just want to do right. That's how you can get Without God, that's how you can get turned around. And that's where we get those people always on the news. He was a nice guy. I wouldn't have never thought he would do that. He used to cut the grass. There's a story about a man that in California that was unaliving women for, was it 20 years, 10 years or whatever. And all that, when he finally got caught, the only thing people could say about him was he was the nicest guy. He used to fix people's cars for free. He used to give people rides. They never said, oh yeah, I knew something. I knew he could possibly do something like that because he was something else. He was mean. They always say I would have never guessed that because he was so nice. Um, that's, everyone walks around with some type of mask because no one wants to really show the true. If you could tell what, some people would be ashamed if you could read their minds. They would be horrified if you could read their thoughts and what they're thinking. Um, some people act on those things because it just is infested and they can't just think about it, or they can't just it comes to a point where you have to actually act on it because that will be your you'll be satisfied if you're able to do that. Um, and if you're not fighting temptation, if you're not with the Lord, if you're not letting Him in your life and letting Him take over, you succumb to all these desires, these weaknesses, these evil thoughts, these evil doings, and then we try to justify some of the evilness by, making it making it sound, I don't know. I don't know how you can make evil sound good, but if we didn't, then there wouldn't be people trying to justify their crime in court. Everyone would just say I'm guilty and send me away. But this is how we get played. They play with us. They'll throw a bunch of stuff that's out there that's going on, and they'll do it every week, so we forget what we were focused on the week before or the month before. Are we still in a war with you? Is Ukraine still in a war? I'm not sure, because they kept that in the news for a while, and then all of a sudden it's not there. It didn't tell us that it's over or anything. It's just not there because something else came up, and so now we're focused on this. And you know how you can not, some children, you can't keep their attention is because you keep putting, they'll play with something, and something comes up and they see something else out the corner of their eye, and then they jump and go to that. And that's kind of how they have us, because they want us that way. That's why they want us to live. They want us to keep juggling, not paying attention, not focusing on what's going on, by keeping us confused with a whole bunch of stuff that's going on and trying to figure out why, because everyone knows that 2 black men do not run. I don't care how much money they have. They don't run anything, any organization, any club, unless it's, a black club. But I'm talking about the world and all of its riches and the people that are the higher ups and make the decisions. No black man is. So you can't tell me the 2 black men, I'm not going to say, that they're putting out in the forefront are, and making it sound like this was their doing. mm, there's people way bigger. This has been going on, it's been allowed. um People, we used to think, certain things like that couldn't happen. That people wouldn't do stuff like that. People wouldn't do that with kids. And do When God said this world is evil, that's what he means. He didn't say that, people are going, it's evil, but there's limits to the evilness. That some people don't um, go cross a line with their evil. There is no line. They do and say and whatever it takes, um, to get them power, money, or whatever. And it doesn't matter what it is. If you're that consumed with the world that you believe that this is all you had, you have one life, this life, and you're going to live it to the fullest no matter what. And so, because you're not happy that you have billions of dollars, you want to try to get that higher. You're not satisfied that you have so much money that you sometimes just give it away because, you're not satisfied that way. You want more, that you do stuff to get that. It's a power, it's a mind game. I bet, well, I'm not going to say bet, probably people who are in a rich circle, all their friends are rich, they probably sit around and say, well, I got such and such millions in the bank. I got such and then they try to outdo. So the next year when they get together, somebody's has more in the bank than the other. It's evil. I don't know what else to even say. There's no redemption. There's no good quality in a person whose whole life is just to have too much money. There's nothing. What are you doing with your money? You're obviously not doing any good with it, else you wouldn't be accused of some of the heinous, that's not the word, heinous crimes in the world. We have the Epstein files that came out miraculously all of a sudden. I forget what was in the news before that, because there was so much. But so now, since we don't want to talk too much about that because there's names in the file. But out of the whole file, they only found one name. And so that's who's going down for that whole debacle. That's the only name that has been leaked. Out of the files, thousands of hours of footage and whatever, and names being given out, they only found one name. And so that's the person who they're going after for the whole, who was the control of the whole thing, which we all know that's not true. But your sins will find you out, and you will have to pay for all your sins. Now, you might get taken down as far as your endorsements are gone, your money is, you already lost a million followers, and so your reputation is going bad. But that's nothing. You might go to jail, but that's nothing. When you meet your maker, that's when you're going to answer to all the rest of it. You can just, this is the light punishment that you're going to have to, just maybe that your name is tarnished. Because you're really not looked at by your peers as someone evil, and because they're all the same. You're just the scapegoat. You're just the one who it has to be blamed on. And who knows? Maybe you decided that you would be the scapegoat because they offered you another $1 billion. Who knows? Money will make people do the craziest, stupidest, evilest, hurtfulest, what other words you can throw in there, things, just for money. I find I guess this is what was a good thing for me, was being poor when I grew up, because I don't miss what I never had. So just to be just to be a couple of steps above poor is good enough for me. Um, so money is not. I don't. Oh, I don't feel like I have. There's values and there's things that I will not do for money because it's not. I don't care to. That's not. I'm not so stimulated by having a bunch of money, and I'm just happy that God has blessed me to live how I'm living now, which is meager. It's I am able to take care of business and do some things that I like to do. Um, but I don't have just money where I'm like I can just buy people or buy things that don't make any sense, or just do ridiculous things with it. Doesn't make any sense when there's people starving and living on the streets, and kids aren't getting education because the schools are just disintegrating. We rather take our money and throw $1 million party, popping bottles and having yachts, instead of instead of wasting that money. You could do a $50,000 party and maybe donated some of that money to getting new computers for schools, or whatever, or raising teachers' salaries. We don't have the right priorities. We pay people who, and I know people love their sports and their actresses and their singers and all that, but we pay them more than we pay people who are actually making a statement, making a change in people's lives. School teachers, because they have to teach these kids basically what they need to know to live in life, but they're struggling because they're not accepted. They don't get paid what they're worth. I can name a lot of other positions that don't get paid what they're worth, but we are athletes, and our stars and everything, they need to have all that money because we are being entertained, and they want us to be entertained. I always say, if you're being entertained, you're not being educated. If they want to do anything to the United States, another country, they have they can plan a lot of things do it on Super Bowl Sunday. People are not really paying attention to anything. They're just being entertained by a team, and these are just my words, my thoughts, who pretend to lose or win. Do it on a day where there's the biggest boxers. People are just, there's times when the world is just asleep because we've been led to this entertainment thing. We want to see entertainment. We want to laugh. We want to see people be embarrassed. We want to see people being hurt. We want to hear a good joke at the cost of anybody's feelings. All that. So while we're doing that and we're chuckling and having a good time over here, they're transporting babies and children and women and doing all kinds of harvesting and shooting our food full of stuff, and it's all kinds of stuff. But as long as we get our entertainment, we're fine. They throw, you can now, it used to be people who went on vacations and got to take airplane trips were well-to-do people. They've made it so you can you can take a trip on layaway. So you can go and relax and do stuff and take more than one trip a year. I mean, you can take all the trips that you want to now. So while you're gone on all these trips being entertained and whatever, back home there's things going on that you're not concerned with or worried about. It's a bleak, it's a sad situation where we have to maneuver through this world that actually doesn't care anything about us, you, me, or anyone. I don't care what color really your skin is. Now, there's different ways that people don't care about you, but when it comes down to it, the bottom line is, if you are not elite or have enough money, you're not invited. You're not a part of. You're not important. You're nothing. No matter what color your skin is. If you're able to play rich man's games and be a competition and being able to fund different things, then you don't. I think they really feel that they've made it once they've been able to do something illegal and get away with it for years. When they're able to make a lot of money and not pay taxes, they have loopholes where they don't pay taxes, or when they have enough money that they can buy a whole island to themselves. Isn't there people who don't have homes? Aren't there people that are living in poverty? And you have a whole island? For what? Hey, but I never will know, because that's the elite game. I would never know anything that's happening around there. That's why we have to be entertained, so we're not being educated, so we're not looking in the right direction. One of my favorite shows used to be Columbo, and it's because he makes everybody think he was slow, but he always was on top of things. He would go right. You would try to steer him in the wrong direction. You could do whatever you wanted, planet stuff, do whatever, but he's gonna solve the crime. And so that's basically the bottom line. If you don't stay focused, focus means allowing God to guide you. You're going to fall into these traps and these games and these quick scheme games and these money games, and you're not nothing if you don't have enough money to do this and that and spend thousands of dollars on concert tickets, or just everything that you need, your needs, Nobody cares about, because in our minds, our selfish minds, we think if you're below, if you're not doing as good, it's your fault. You had the same opportunities as everyone else. Why are you homeless? Why do you not have a job? Um, why do you not have enough food to feed your kids? Instead of, I can take a little bit of my, it doesn't even have to be just my interest alone. I could feed uh, a community. We don't think about that because we're harboring. We got to keep everything, all of our stuff, to ourselves. So when we go, if something so happens that we're not here anymore, I can either donate my money to cats, research, or whatever else I want. It doesn't have to, some people live evilly and then they die evil because they know, even though they're not here, they know once that will is read and they have the last laugh. If they left nothing to any of their family members or to anything important, they will have the last laugh. I'm leaving all of my money to the ARL. And then the family is like, because they were waiting. They were no better. They were waiting to see, when, they were going to inherit their money, because money rules the world. They don't really even take time to mourn because, let's hurry up and get this funeral done and get everything out the way so we can talk about that word, and divvy up our money and see and then fight over if anybody has got more than the other, or anyone felt that they were, we'll keep it in litigation for years so no one gets anything because, it's money is important. We need it. Life is not even important. People don't even care about other people's life, but money's important. That life means nothing and money means everything when you can ask somebody to do a hit for $10,000. That's not even, what are you going to do with $10,000? But people love money. And if they can get their hand, I guess if they've never had $10,000 in their hand at once, then it sounds good that they would go and unalive a poor innocent person who had, that they don't even know, and they don't know the full circumstance. They don't even know why they don't have to tell you why they want you to do it, just that, do you want this money? Some people have a heart, very rare, that they will, turn them in secretly and get them, locked up. But sad to say, most of those things are done because of the evils and the wants of money. And God warned us about that. He told us the love of money is the root of all evil. That means it's the start, it's the beginning, it's the outcome, it's everything. The love of money. Everything you do in your mind, you want to acquire money. The end part is to be compensated to get money, because we love money. Money makes the world go around. You can't get anywhere without money. You can't do the things you want to without money. You can't tell people what to do without money. You can't be absolutely diabolical to other people without money. Because while you have the love of money, so do they. So they're going to allow you to treat them any kind of way, to talk to them any kind of way, to do anything to them, because they want money too. And the source of the money is to be where you're at. So when we talk about victims, and there are victims, I'm separating. I'm talking about in the industry right now, and I'm not including the children at all, because there is no form of, you can't justify there's nothing you can say that justifies you doing anything to a child. But if you're a rising star, and or a star, you can sing and you want to be a singer, and you come across this, I'll make you a star if you have a decision to make. Yes, this has always been your dream, but at what cost? Because I always think, well, first of all, where's the parents? You can't tell me that every single one of these young kids that had to endure this, that their parents had no clue. Didn't know, didn't even, what, you didn't talk to your child the whole time they were in the custody of a stranger, and they didn't seem different, or you weren't worried about them being in the custody of a stranger because money was being made, and then money was being made to keep it quiet. It's just evil. It's just that there's no other. You would sacrifice. But if you're not a child and you decide to get into the business and you have decisions to make, if those decisions don't feel good about them, you have to find something to block what you have to do to make it, or do, then you should have made a different decision. Some people just have that tenacity. Some people just like, I know, they have confidence. I can do it no matter what. So when you're approached and told you have good talent, and you know that you do, but you're not gonna be a star unless you do this, that, this, or this. There's so many ways you can rectify that. But it's just how this world is going to go. So if you read the Bible, it tells you all the things that people will endure, all the things that are going to happen, all the things that people will allow. Nothing new under the sun. So every generation, every different whatever has had issues with something. Of course, back in the day, there wasn't social media. There wasn't things that could be filmed at the drop of a hat. We've gotten to the point now that instead of somebody helping someone, there will be a group of people standing around just filming. That's disturbing. If you see a woman being assaulted, I would like to think if you see a child being assaulted or somebody doing that somebody would put down their phone. But it just seems like we're in the day of, I want to go viral, I want to have my whatever on the biggest platform, so I'm going to stand here and film this crime and be the first one to upload it, no matter what happened to the victim. we just want to be entertained. If we walked around, if we woke up every morning and after praying to God and asking strength, all those different things, if we made a conscious decision not to treat someone or not to do somebody the way you would not want someone to do you, maybe the world would be just a little bit better. I'm not going to go out here and cut someone off, or if someone cuts me off, I'm not going to follow them all the way to their job and bang on their their window, so possibly the that they have in their car that they can use, and then I'm gone, or harmed in a way that I can't come back from because this person cut me off. You make a conscious act. God, please keep me this day. Keep me from making decisions that aren't good for me, for reacting in a way that I shouldn't, for allowing people to get me into a hostile situation, or just anything. Anybody is subject to be going to prison for something you didn't mean to, but because you just we just have you don't get to diss me or disrespect me and get away with it. It's just ridiculous. But you have to choose who's going to be your leader. Are you going to let God fight your battles? Or are you going to fight alongside Lucifer, Satan, the devil, and his army? I think it would be best that you choose the right side. Until next time.